Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, no matter where you are listening to us. And welcome to the Building Bridges podcast. And today I'm excited to announce that we are officially beginning the Type 1 Diabetes Awareness Creation series. And we are going to be having lots and lots of amazing speakers who are not only going to be sharing their experiences about type 1 diabetes, but they are also going to raise awareness on what type 1 diabetes is all about, its causes, and probably how we can manage type 1 diabetes. And so, the aim of this podcast series is just to create awareness about type 1 diabetes, talk about the differences that exist between the three different types of diabetes, that's type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and also gestational diabetes, address the myths and facts surrounding type 1 diabetes, and also encouraging the general public to be advocates of this particular condition. And this podcast is going to be happening every 2 weeks, and of course, it's going to run for a time span of 4 months. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to sign up for Rada's podcast. Stay tuned with us. Do well to ask your questions and, of course, engage with us during this wonderful series, which we are going to be running in collaboration with the health department and particularly the type 1 diabetes program. And so, with me in the studio, I have not only an advocate, but a person with lived experience of type 1 diabetes. We are going to take this break, and when we come back, we are going to discover our guest and, of course, go right into our topic for the day.
Healthy food choices matter. Save the next generation. Regulate unhealthy foods now.
One, two, three, four.
Welcome back, dear listeners, and thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful podcast, this Building Bridges podcast. And our focus is on the type 1 diabetes series, which we are currently running. As your host, I am Meven Gobu, and with me in the studio is
Fomekong Sheila.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for joining us and for sharing and for deciding to share your experience, because lots and lots of people are not very open to talking about such conditions. They are not even proud of this condition. And so I'm going to begin with my very first question. Sheila, what is type 1 diabetes? I'm sure our listeners are wondering, diabetes, type 1 diabetes. So what is it?
Well, type 1 diabetes, I would say, is a health condition where the pancreas does not produce insulin or produces a little insulin, which is not enough to break down the excess sugar that is stored into the blood to send to other parts of the system, which is especially the tissues and the muscles.
Wow. As someone from a non-medical background, the only thing I heard was pancreas and tissue. Please, can you further break it down so non-people who don't have a background in medicine can really understand what type 1 diabetes is all about? And I just feel overwhelmed at this point.
Okay. To somebody who is from a non-medical background, I would say type 1 diabetes is just a condition where the body does not produce insulin to break down sugar which is stored in the blood to send to other parts of the body. So that is how we can explain it to somebody who is not in a medical field.
Thank you so much for breaking that down, where the body is not able to break down the insulin that has been produced to be able to send it to other parts. And type 1 diabetes mostly affects, we are really confused because I think I said there are 3 types of diabetes. Yes. Gestational diabetes, which I know is very common in pregnant, because when we're gestational, we already know that.
Very good.
The person is pregnant. And then type 2 diabetes too, which I know that it's mostly for the elderly people, mostly 40 years and above.
Yeah.
So type 1 diabetes, how does it occur? Whom is the, should I say, target audience? Where is it most? Who does it affect mostly?
Okay, I would say type 1 diabetes affects almost everybody.
Oh,
That is, it includes the youth, it includes the children, and even some adults have type 1 diabetes. But in research, we will see that type 1 diabetes mostly affects children and adolescents. That is where we can really see type 1 diabetes, but not also canceling the fact that type 1 diabetes can also affect adults.
oh, I see. I think I read somewhere last week they said it's an autoimmune disease.
Yes, it is an autoimmune disease. Why is it an autoimmune disease? That is because the white blood cells, which are meant to protect our body from bacteria and from germs, turn to instead fight the cells, the pancreatic cells that produces insulin that breaks down the sugar in our body. That is why it is an autoimmune disease.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for expanding on that. I think with someone like me who doesn't really have much as a scientific background, we are listening, we are learning, and I also hope that our listeners out there are actually also listening and they are also learning. Coming back to the previous question, you made mention of the fact that it affects literally everybody. Despite the fact that type 1 diabetes is mostly diabetes in children and in adolescents, but we discovered that it spans across the parents and everyone in the community. Why do you say that?
Well, because I say so because it is an autoimmune condition, you see. So it does not really tell you when it wants to affect you, let me say so. It just happens that way. Your pancreas, your white blood cells just gets up and starts fighting the pancreatic cells, so which is causing that condition.
And
that is
say village people.
Yes, I will actually say village people. I will actually say village people, and some people will go as far as saying that it is a curse or it is witchcraft.
Really?
Yeah. So that is what we as diabetics we actually go through when it comes to stigma.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, we are gradually drawing near the end of this series. Like I've said, it's a series. Thank you, Sheila, for sharing part of the experiences of which diabetic go through. I cannot believe that in this age and time, some people still believe that it's some sort of a curse. And this is the reason why we decided to create this podcast series to raise awareness on type 1 diabetes. I think we have probably 2 more questions and then we round off against the next episode. So what happens to the body when a person has type 1 diabetes?
What happens to the body is there are signs and symptoms that shows that you have type 1 diabetes. We have excess urination, excess thirst, we have hunger, excess hunger, we have tiredness. So that is what happens in the body to show that you are a type 1 diabetic.
Okay, Sheila. Just to add, because if I have all of these, will I say symptoms, does it mean I have type 1 diabetes or I need to go to the hospital to confirm? Because, there are times that you might be feeling weak. This happens to me a lot. You might feel weak and then you just Google the symptoms and everything Google says, spam, that's just it. This happens to me a lot. So I just want that you should encourage the fact that if a young person, if a child, if you discover that your child has all of these symptoms, it's important for them to go to the hospital, right?
Definitely, it's very important for you to go to the hospital. Why are we doing this sensitization? One of the main reason is misdiagnosis. We see that majority of people they mistaken the signs of type 1 diabetes to be signs like we have malaria, fever, diarrhea, typhoid, those kind of signs. So it is very important that when you are experiencing some certain symptoms, not only related to diabetes but to other conditions, you go to the hospital to check yourself. Because many people have gone to the hospital that maybe they thought it was malaria, and by the time they are reaching the hospital, they are near death or they have had complications or the other. So it is very important. Once as you're experiencing these symptoms, even if it is that you go to the hospital and it is that it was not diabetes, type 1 diabetes, but at least you have taken the step to go to the hospital.
Please, can you kindly list those symptoms again so the audience can hear?
Okay, the symptoms, we have 4 main symptoms of general diabetes, because we have type 1 diabetes, we have type 2, we have gestational. So the general symptoms, we have frequent thirst, we have frequent urination, we have excessive hunger, and we have tiredness. Those are the 4 main signs of diabetes.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for sharing about type 1 diabetes. What is your advice out there to let's say school children who are with and without type 1 diabetes? What is your key message for them?
Okay, my key message here is your nutrition and exercise matters a lot. We know that we live in a very busy world, and everything, you have activities that you do, and there are times that you tend to forget some certain things. So I just want to encourage everybody, mind what you eat. Nowadays, there are a lot of nutritional talks going out there, and even the way you eat matters a lot. So mind the way you eat, your nutrition matters, then exercise that you have to do. Don't say that I will sit at home and maybe I will be fine. Let me put it that way. No, there are times that the exercise that you do does not just help out, not just only maybe you sweating, but it also helps to regulate other organs in your body, not just even the pancreas, but other organs in your body need that exercise. So I will advise that your diet and your exercise matters a lot. Then I'll also encourage everybody to be an advocate for this message that you are hearing, for this podcast. Don't hear it and keep it to yourself. Somebody might be dying somewhere that does not know that this is what he or she is going through, but you sharing it, you being able to tell people about it, will save lives.
That was Sheila, ladies and gentlemen. If you hear this message today, do not harden your heart. Ensure you share it out. Type 1 diabetes concerns us all. Even if you're not a survivor with type 1 diabetes, you might be a champion for this advocacy. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our first episode of our podcast series on type 1 diabetes awareness creation. And we hope that learning has taken place, and we hope to see you soon. Stay tuned with us on our social media handles. On Facebook, we are at Reconciliation and Development Association at RegDeva. On Instagram, we are at RegDeva. On TikTok, we are at RegDev Cameroon. On LinkedIn, Reconciliation and Development Association. And do well to visit our website, www.regdev.org. And from us to you is bye-bye. Bye, Sheila.
Bye bye, Meg.